Hey you, it's True with the first review of the new HIBIKI. And yes, the app icon finally gets another version. Dark HIBIKI is kind of like a crazy crossover of Cthulhu, Dark Ludmilla and Pinocchio, which, given their true power track record, is quite promising. But can she lead Poison back to power in this meta? Her speed is pretty much middle of the road with 422. But once she gets the turn, there's a lot she can do. Not in terms of skill choices though, because the only skill available at the start will be Demonic Defiance. Demonic Defiance. Gives 1 spirit and is an instant skill, 1-time unit cost, healing all allies for 800% of the user's attack, and then grants all allies stealth, a stealth shield, poison ward, stun ward, burn ward. So that's already pretty good stuff. Very strong support skill, and it then unlocks at random either Toxic Rain or Demon Blast. So this random unlock should sound familiar from Cthulhu. Think Infect Reality. Toxic Rain is yet another instant skill, also giving 1 spirit, removes burn including mega healing burn and stealth shields from all enemy units on the battlefield. Then all enemies are granted mega poison for 200 time units and burn wards, and then also 1 random enemy is granted lethal poison for 999 time units. Now notably, this does not remove poison wards, and obviously it cannot poison immune units on the enemy team anyways. The good thing is that first she grants mega poison to all of them, and then 1 random enemy is granted lethal poison, so a potential poison ward might already be gone for that lethal poison at least. And lethal poison of course deals 2 times the damage of normal poison, and most importantly ignores any survival skills on enemies when they get to low HP, except for boss units and units that cannot die to poison. Now Toxic Rain also unlocks Toxic Finale upon use, but how about we talk about yet another instant skill first, the alternative that is called Demon Blast. Also gives 1 spirit, also costs 1 time unit, and deals 300% damage to 2 enemies, ignoring damage reduction effects and any effects of non-boss enemies that would prevent the target from being defeated. Also ignoring skin passive skills and the counter stance status effect. Rather short description, but yeah, this is basically a 2 enemy execute skill with damage reduction ignore, but not crazy high damage output. And this skill also unlocks Toxic Finale, which is a spirit neutral skill that costs 80 time units, which is quite high, but it also deals 350% damage to 2 enemies, which is quite low. Then again, it is 700% damage instead to targets that are poisoned, and all non-poisoned enemies hit are then granted lethal poison for 999 time units, also ignoring enemy damage reduction effects. So this can be very effective in taking poisoned enemies out, and even those that are not poisoned will be afflicted with lethal poison if they are not burning, of course, or if they have poison wards or immunities. But still, pretty good stuff. Is it worth 80 time units? I don't know, but of course there's still more on her passive side that might make this loop work even better, because this skill unlocks Demonic Defiance after use, and that leads us back to the very first skill we discussed, which means she will always use her first skill first, Demonic Defiance, then depending on what the RNG unlocked, 1 time unit later, which might be a few turns later given the stacked time bars that we usually see nowadays in the meta, she will do a Toxic Rain or a Demon Blast depending on what she unlocked, and then she will wrap it up with a Toxic Finale, a 2 instant skill combo with a potential finishing blow in the end. Now there's quite some stuff to like in her active skills, but the ATTU on Toxic Finale is a point of worry for me, but maybe the passive skills can ease my worries. we have two very creatively named passives that are called Dark Divinity and Divine Darkness. She comes with a hold ground, so if she would be defeated by an enemy attack or status effect while having more than 1 HP, she instead survives with 1 HP, and when she heals back up, she will regain that additional safety measure. While there is a poisoned enemy on the battlefield, Hibiki is stun immune, and she also enters the battle with a poison ward, sleep ward and a stun ward, something we've first seen with Giga Rolosha. Hibiki has 35% damage reduction from attacks, plus 10% for each poisoned enemy on the battlefield, so that is up to 75% max. That is nothing crazy, especially given the poisoned enemy condition, which to have it consistently at 4 poisoned enemies might be hard to do, especially given that you would probably want to defeat those from time to time, but it's still a decent armor effect. When Hibiki takes damage from an attack, if she survives until after the end of the turn, she will heal for 30% of max HP and be granted stealth, so something quite similar to Dark Lord Miller right there, and that also means that it might not be all that easy to kill her with her hold ground. Also, if at that start of that turn where she gets hit, there are no poisoned enemies and she still has another ally on the battlefield, she will immediately get the turn. Now, if you didn't get enough turn-based effects yet, I have great news for you, because at the end of each turn that Dark Hibiki takes, and I have to remind you, 3 of her skills are instant skills, so whenever she gets turns, she will get quite a few of them in short order. On the one hand, she will support her allies, on the other hand, of course, she will harm the enemies. How does she do that? After each of her turns, a random ally on the battlefield is healed for 30% of max HP. A random ally on the battlefield is enraged, meaning that their attack is increased by 50%, or rather multiplied with 1.5 until the end of their next turn. And then a random ally on the battlefield will have its time unit cost for all their skills reduced by 20%, which means at the end of her first turn chain, most of your team might already be quickened. Now, on the other hand, whenever Hibiki ends a turn, a random enemy on the battlefield is granted super poison, a random enemy on the battlefield is weakened, and Hibiki steals 1 spirit from the enemy team if it's available. Now, that's her entire skill set right there. One thing I can point out straight away is that there is no awakening scaling on her, and I do think getting at least 1 copy for any poison team is highly recommended. And in general, getting her fully awakened for a poison team is probably a very good idea. I do think she is a bit more niche in her application. I think for poison teams, she will be extremely strong, potentially delivering a lot of value to your team. There's also some nice cursed hybrid potential, as you can see in the exclusive battles on the screen. But other than that, I mean, for burn, for sleep, she is an easy skip. Even for poison stun, I'm not extremely convinced. I think she needs some poison companions on the battlefield for sure. That could be somebody like Dark Clarice, Pinocchio, Dark Lord Miller, maybe Dark Lancelot, Dark Kaguya, but one of them should be there in my eyes. While her active skill set takes some inspiration from Cthulhu, she is not quite as random, and of course she has more lethality in her skill set nowadays, which is where Cthulhu struggles at this point. But I don't see Dark Hibiki becoming nearly as oppressive as Cthulhu was, thanks to Cthulhu's Get, Turn and Purify mechanic. Granted, Hibiki has a really nice mechanic where she gets stealth when she gets attacked, and if there are no poisoned enemies, she will get the turn, and whenever she gets the turn, she can cycle through her instant skill stuff again. But in terms of DPS, yes, the Toxic Finale can do some nice takeouts, even possibly her third skill, even though the damage scaling on that is a bit underwhelming. Then again, maybe she is enraged, and then the 450% damage ignoring armor, ignoring attack can also get some kills. The hate seems to be on the higher side, unless there's no enemy poison, which is not ideal given that she would get the turn if she gets attacked while nobody is poisoned. But yeah, all in all, I mean, the support side of her is really nice. Whenever she gets turns, she does a lot with it. Also on the passive side, which also might explain a little bit why the active skill side is a bit shorter in terms of descriptions. Then again, especially her very first skill does a lot to support your team. Basically a full heal for your entire team under normal circumstances. Stealth, stealth shield and all these wards can be very nice. Her second skill, if she unlocks it, if she gets lucky, can be something to deal with burn teams, especially given that it also applies burn wards, and shortly after she can hopefully deal out some good damage with the toxic finale, taking out somebody like Lucifer or Claire for example. All in all, to wrap it up, I would recommend getting her if you run a poison team. Definitely will power you up, and I think with her, poison will definitely be a great contender in the meta wars right now. I think we've been pretty close to an equilibrium lately, but yeah, this will give poison a lot more tools against burn teams, and I do think burn will start to struggle from here on out more and more. Dark Hibiki is not a heavy sleep counter, but it will also mean that poison teams have a better time against them as well potentially, and stun teams might also struggle quite a bit against her. So this puts poison in a really nice place right now. Then again, we will see 2 more units coming in from this event. So stay tuned and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video demonstration and review of the new Dark Hibiki. And as always, thanks for watching.